My name is Evelyn Ward. I'm 30. 3 hours ago at 2:47 p.m., I woke up from emergency appendectomy surgery to find my mother standing over my hospital bed, not asking if I was okay, but hissing into her phone. She's always been this way, Barbara. Erratic, unstable. Now she's dragged us to the hospital during Lisa's engagement brunch because she couldn't handle a little stomach pain like a normal person. I couldn't move. The anesthesia hadn't worn off completely. My mouth was dry, throat raw from the breathing tube. I could taste blood and antiseptic. The IV in my left hand pulled when I tried to shift, sending a sharp sting up my arm. My mother didn't notice I was awake. She was facing the window, her back rigid in that cream Chanel suit I'd helped pay for last Christmas. The price tag flashed in my mind: $2,800. No, Barbara, listen. The surgeon said it was appendicitis, but you know Evelyn, she's a doctor herself, for God's sake. She could have taken some Tylenol and waited until tomorrow. But no, she had to make it about her. She always does. My father's voice joined from somewhere near the door. Susan, lower your voice. Someone might hear. I don't care who hears, Richard. I'm tired of pretending this is normal. We've given her everything, everything, and this is how she repays us? By embarrassing Lisa on her special day? The room tilted. I tried to speak, but only a wheeze came out. My mother turned then, saw my open eyes, and her expression didn't change. No relief, no concern. Just that thin, practiced smile she used at country club luncheons. Oh, you're awake. Well, the doctor says you'll be fine. We're going back to the brunch now. Lisa's fiance's parents flew in from Atlanta. We can't just abandon them because you had a little procedure. A little procedure. My appendix had ruptured. The surgeon had told me, right before they put me under at 11:23 a.m., that I was septic. That if I'd waited another hour, I might have died. Before I go on, if stories about standing up for yourself mean something to you, please hit like and subscribe, and tell me in the comments where you're watching from right now and what time it is there. My father stepped into view. He wouldn't look at me. He was adjusting his cufflinks, those silver ones I'd given him for his birthday 3 years ago. I'd been a second-year resident then, working 80-hour weeks, and I'd still spent $400 I didn't have because he'd mentioned once that he liked them. Dad, I managed. My voice cracked. It was septic. The surgeon said, "We'll call you later, Evelyn." He was already moving toward the door. "Try not to make a scene when the nurses come. You're a doctor. You're used to hospitals." They left, both of them. The door clicked shut at 2:51 p.m. I know because I stared at the clock on the wall for the next 20 minutes, watching the second hand circle while something cold and hard settled into my chest alongside the surgical pain. This wasn't new. That was the worst part. It wasn't even surprising. Let me take you back 8 years, to the moment I should have seen this coming. I was 22, fresh out of undergrad, sitting in my grandfather David's study. It was August, late afternoon, and the room smelled like old books and the coffee he always made too strong. Grandpa David had been a federal judge for 34 years before retiring, and his study still looked like chambers. Oak desk, leather chairs, floor-to-ceiling shelves organized by topic and date. Everything in its place. Everything documented. "Evie," he said, using the nickname no one else was allowed to use, "I'm going to tell you something your parents won't like." I was holding my acceptance letter to medical school. Full scholarship to the academic program, but living expenses, books, supplies, that was on me. I'd been adding up numbers all week. 4 years of medical school, then residency. The math was terrifying. Grandpa David slid an envelope across the desk. "I've set up an account. It's not a fortune, but it'll cover your rent and food while you're in school. Your parents don't need to know." "Grandpa, I can't." "Yes, you can. Because I'm telling you to." His voice was firm. Judge voice. The one that had sentenced white-collar criminals and overturned bad precedents. "And I'm telling you something else. Watch your sister. Watch your parents around her. Love makes people blind, Evie. But favoritism makes them cruel. I didn't understand then. I do now. Lisa was 19, starting her junior year at a state school, majoring in communications with a minor in shopping. That's not fair, that's not kind, but it's true. My parents had bought her a car, a white Lexus SUV, $43,000, for her birthday that May. I'd been driving a 1998 Honda Civic with 180,000 miles and a check engine light that had been on for 2 years. When I asked my father why Lisa got a new car and I didn't, he'd said, Lisa needs reliable transportation for her internship. Her internship was at our mother's friend's boutique. She worked 15 hours a week folding cashmere. I worked night shifts at a medical clinic, drawing blood and updating charts for $14 an hour, and I drove that Civic until the transmission died halfway through my second year of medical school. I called my father. It was 11 p.m., January, 19 degrees outside. I was on the shoulder of Route 288, hazard lights blinking, watching my breath fog in the dark. Dad, the Civic died. The mechanic says it's the transmission. It'll cost $2,800 to fix, or I need a different car. Silence. Then, Evelyn, you're 24 years old. You can't keep expecting us to solve your problems. I'm not asking you to solve it. I need to get to the hospital. I have rounds at 6 a.m. Take the bus. There's no bus from my apartment to the hospital at 5 a.m. More silence. Then my mother's voice in the background. Richard, tell her we'll talk about it later. Lisa's trying to study. He hung up. I sat in that dead car for 40 minutes before a tow truck came. Cost me $150 I didn't have. I took Uber to the hospital the next morning, $47, and showed up 10 minutes late to rounds. My attending asked if everything was okay. I said yes, because what else could I say? 3 days later, my parents bought Lisa a $6,200 designer handbag for getting a B+ on her midterm exam. I fixed the Civic myself, took out a $3,000 loan at 18% interest, paid it off over 2 years. Grandpa David found out, I don't know how. But 2 weeks after I'd made the final payment, he took me to lunch at this Italian place he loved, and he said, I'm proud of you, Evie. You solve your own problems. That's rare. I thought he meant it as a compliment. Now I think he meant it as an apology. Over the next 6 years, a pattern emerged. It was so gradual I didn't see it as a pattern. I saw it as isolated incidents. Bad luck. My fault somehow. Medical school was 4 years of undergrad, 4 years of medical school, 3 years of residency specializing in cardiology. 11 years total. During that time, I paid for my parents' mortgage when my father's consulting business had a slow quarter. 6 months of payments, $2,400 each. Total, $14,400. My mother's health insurance premiums when she decided to quit her part-time job because it was too stressful. 18 months, $680 per month. Total, $12,240. Car repairs for my father's Audi, twice. $4,100 and $3,800. A new roof for their house after a storm. My father said insurance wouldn't cover it. $18,500. Lisa's credit card debt. 4 times. $6,000, then $8,200, then $11,000, then $9,600. Emergency cash gifts, because they were short this month. 27 times over 8 years, ranging from $400 to $2,500. Wedding expenses for Lisa's first wedding. The marriage lasted 14 months. I paid for the flowers and the photographer. $7,300. I kept a list. Not because I wanted to, but because I had to. I was living on a resident's salary, $58,000 a year before taxes, and working 80-hour weeks. I needed to track where every dollar went. The list lived in a spreadsheet on my laptop, password protected, hidden in a folder labeled Research Notes 2019. The total, as of 3 months ago, was $362,840. I never asked for it back, never even mentioned it, because every time I gave them money, they said the same thing. "You're so generous, Evelyn. We'll pay you back as soon as we can. Family takes care of family." I believed them. I wanted to believe them. Then came March 12th. I was at the hospital, end of a 28-hour shift. I'd lost a patient that morning, a 54-year-old man, massive MI. We'd coded him for 40 minutes before calling it. I was still in my scrubs, sitting in the residence lounge, staring at nothing. My phone buzzed. Text from my mother. "Your father and I need to talk to you. Come to the house tomorrow at 3 p.m. It's important." I drove there after my shift ended at 2 p.m. I hadn't slept in 32 hours. My hands were shaking from too much coffee and too little food. I thought maybe someone had died. Maybe Grandpa David. He was 69, healthy, but you never know. I parked in the driveway, the same driveway I'd shoveled every winter growing up while Lisa stayed inside, and walked to the front door. It was unlocked. I went in. They were waiting in the living room. My mother on the couch, my father in his chair, Lisa perched on the armrest like a lawyer at a deposition. The setup felt planned. "Sit down, Evelyn," my father said. I sat. "We've been talking," my mother began, "and we've decided it's time to address some concerns we have about your behavior." My behavior. "What concerns?" Lisa spoke up. "You've been really erratic lately, Ev. Calling Dad at weird hours, asking for money. It's not normal." The room went silent inside my head. I could hear the clock ticking on the mantel, the heater humming, my own heartbeat. "Asking for money?" My voice came out flat. "I've never asked you for money." "You asked Dad to help with your car," Lisa said. "That was 6 years ago, and I didn't ask him to pay for it. I asked for advice." My mother sighed. "This is exactly what we're talking about. You twist things. You make us sound like terrible parents when all we've ever done is support you." Something cracked in my chest, not my heart, something deeper. The place where I'd been keeping all the math, all the spreadsheets, all the times I'd said yes when I should have said no. "Support me?" I stood up. My legs felt unsteady. "I've given you over $360,000 in the last 8 years. My father's face went red. "That's a lie." "It's not. I have records, bank statements, receipts. Every mortgage payment, every insurance premium, every credit card bill I paid for Lisa." "You're being dramatic," my mother said. "We've given you plenty over the years." "What have you given me?" Silence. "What have you given me?" I asked again. Louder. Lisa stood up. "God, Evelyn, you're so ungrateful. They paid for your childhood. They raised you, fed you, put a roof over your head. And this is how you repay them? By keeping some creepy spreadsheet and accusing them of, what, using you?" "Yes," I said. "That's exactly what I'm accusing you of." My father stood then, all 6'2" of him, and his voice dropped to that low, dangerous tone I remembered from childhood. "You need to leave, now. And you need to think very carefully about the lies you're spreading. Because if you keep this up, Evelyn, you'll find yourself very alone." I left. I drove back to my apartment, a 600-square-foot studio in a neighborhood where I heard gunshots twice a week, and I sat on the floor of my bathroom and cried for 2 hours. Then I stopped crying, and I started thinking. The next day I called Grandpa David. "Evie," he said, "I was wondering when you'd call." "You knew?" "I've known for years. I've been waiting for you to see it." "Why didn't you tell me?" "Because you wouldn't have believed me. You had to see it yourself." He paused. "Come to my house on Sunday, 10 a.m. There's something I need to give you." I went. Grandpa David's house was in a quiet neighborhood with old trees and brick walkways. I'd spent every Sunday there as a kid, helping him in his garden, listening to him explain legal precedents like bedtime stories. The house smelled like coffee and old paper, same as always. He was waiting in his study, sitting behind that oak desk, and he looked older than I remembered. Thinner, tired. "Sit," he said. I sat. He slid a folder across the desk. "I've been documenting everything. Every conversation I've had with your parents about money. Every time they've asked me for help and I've refused. Every time they've complained about you being difficult or ungrateful." I opened the folder. Inside were printed emails, transcripts of voicemails, even handwritten notes with dates and times. "I've also been talking to your mother's sister, Diane. She's been keeping track too. Your parents borrowed $80,000 from her 12 years ago and never paid it back. She stopped speaking to them because of it." I hadn't known. I hadn't even known my mother had a sister named Diane. "Why are you telling me this?" "Because they're going to get worse, Evie. They've tasted your money and they've built a lifestyle on it. When you cut them off, and you will cut them off, they'll come after you. They'll lie. They'll tell people you're unstable, that you've had a breakdown, that you're cruel and vindictive. They'll make you the villain." "How do you know?" "Because it's what your father did to his brother, and what your mother did to Diane. It's a pattern." He tapped the folder. "So I'm giving you ammunition, documentation, truth. Keep it somewhere safe. You'll need it." I took the folder home. I read every page, then I locked it in a fireproof safe under my bed and tried to forget about it. But I couldn't, because 2 weeks later, my mother called me at 6:51 a.m., right as I was starting my shift. "Evelyn, we need $15,000. Your father's business partner embezzled from the company. We're trying to keep things afloat, but we need cash now." "No." Silence. Long silence. "What did you say?" "I said no. I can't keep doing this." "You can't?" Her voice went shrill. "You can't? After everything we've done for you? After we sacrificed our lives to raise you? I've given you $360,000, Mom. I don't have anything left." "You're lying. You're a doctor. You make plenty." "I'm a resident. I make $58,000 a year, and I'm drowning in debt because of you." She hung up. 3 days later, my aunt called. My father's sister, Patricia, who I hadn't spoken to in 5 years. "Evelyn, honey, I heard you've been going through a hard time. Your mother told me you've been struggling with some mental health issues. She's really worried about you." My stomach dropped. "What did she tell you?" "That you've been having paranoid episodes, that you accuse them of stealing from you, that you might need professional help." There it was. Grandpa David had been right. "Aunt Patricia, that's not true. I don't have mental health issues. I'm setting boundaries. I told them I can't give them money anymore, and now they're—" "Honey, it's okay. There's no shame in getting help. Your mother gave me the name of a therapist who specializes in—" I hung up. Over the next month, the calls kept coming. Cousins I barely knew, family friends, my mother's book club, all of them saying the same thing. "We heard you're going through something. We're here if you need to talk." I stopped answering my phone. Then came the day at the hospital. I was in the cardiac ICU, checking on a post-op patient. It was a Tuesday, 3:15 p.m. I was reviewing labs when I heard my mother's voice. "Excuse me, I'm looking for Dr. Ward." I turned. She was standing at the nurse's station, wearing her tennis outfit, full makeup, that sympathetic smile she used at funerals. "Mom, what are you doing here?" "I came to check on you, sweetheart. You haven't been answering my calls. I was worried." The nurses were watching. My attending doctor, Patel, was watching. 3 patients' families were watching. "I'm fine, I'm working. You need to leave. Evelyn, please, don't make a scene. I just want to talk." "I don't want to talk. I want you to leave." Her eyes filled with tears. Instant, perfect tears. "I'm your mother. I love you. Why are you being so cruel?" Dr. Patel stepped forward. "Ma'am, I'm going to have to ask you to leave. This is a restricted area." My mother turned to her, and the tears flowed harder. "I'm sorry. I'm just so worried about her. She's been so erratic lately. I think she might be having a breakdown. Has she been eating? Sleeping? Dr. Patel's expression changed, just slightly, just enough. Mom, leave. Now. She left, but the damage was done. That night, Dr. Patel pulled me aside. Evelyn, is everything okay at home? Your mother seemed genuinely concerned. Everything's fine. Because if you're struggling, there are resources. The hospital has counseling services. We all go through rough patches during residency. I'm not struggling. My mother is, she's. What could I say? That my mother was lying? That sounded paranoid. That my parents had exploited me financially for 8 years? That sounded like a delusion. I'm fine, really. But I wasn't fine. I went home that night and I didn't sleep. I lay in bed staring at the ceiling, and I thought about Grandpa David's folder, about the documentation, about the truth that no one would believe because my parents had spent 8 years building a narrative. Evelyn is difficult. Evelyn is ungrateful. Evelyn is unstable. And now, Evelyn is having a breakdown. I wanted to disappear. I wanted to quit residency, move to a different state, change my name, start over. Instead, I got appendicitis. It started as a dull ache on a Thursday morning. I ignored it. I had a full day of rounds, 2 procedures scheduled, and a lecture at 5 p.m. By Thursday night, the pain was sharper. By Friday morning, I couldn't stand up straight. I called in sick, first time in 3 years, and drove myself to the ER at 10:08 a.m. The attending on duty was Dr. Marcus Chen, one of the surgeons I'd scrubbed in with a dozen times. He took one look at me and ordered a CT scan. "It's your appendix, Evie. It's inflamed. We need to get you to surgery." "How fast?" "Now. It's close to rupturing." They prepped me. I changed into a gown. A nurse started an IV. Dr. Chen explained the procedure while I signed consent forms with shaking hands. At 11:20 a.m., the nurse asked, "Is there anyone we should call? Family?" I gave them my parents' number. I don't know why. Habit, maybe. Hope, probably. They came. Both of them. They arrived at 11:50 a.m., 20 minutes before I went into surgery, and they brought Lisa. My mother leaned over the gurney. "Oh, Evelyn, this is so like you, making everything into a drama." I was too weak to argue. The pre-op sedative was already starting to work. Everything felt soft and distant. "It's appendicitis, Mom. It's not a drama. It's real." Of course it's real. But did you have to call us in the middle of Lisa's engagement brunch? Her future in-laws are in town. This is so inconsiderate. Lisa was on her phone texting. She didn't look up. My father checked his watch. "How long will this take?" 2 hours, Dr. Chen said. He was standing near the door, arms crossed, watching my family with an expression I couldn't read. "Fine. We'll wait." They didn't wait. I woke up at 2:47 p.m. to my mother on the phone, calling me erratic, calling me unstable, calling me a burden. And that's when something inside me hardened. Not my heart. Something colder. Something final. I was done. The nurse came in at 3:05 p.m., a kind woman named Teresa who'd worked in post-op for 15 years. She checked my vitals, adjusted my IV, and asked if I needed anything. "My phone," I said. "Can you get my phone from my bag?" She handed it to me. I scrolled through my contacts until I found Grandpa David's number. He answered on the second ring. "Evie?" "They left, Grandpa. I had surgery. My appendix ruptured. And they left." Silence. Then, "I'm coming to get you." "You don't have to. I'm coming." He showed up at 4:30 p.m. with a bag of my favorite soup from the deli near his house and a hardcover book I'd been wanting to read. He sat in the chair next to my bed, and he didn't say anything about my parents. He just stayed. The next morning, he drove me to his house. I was supposed to rest for a week, and I couldn't go back to my apartment. Third-floor walk-up, no elevator. So I stayed in his guest room, the one with the window overlooking the garden, and I slept for 16 hours straight. When I woke up, it was Sunday. Grandpa David was in the kitchen making coffee. How are you feeling? Sore? Tired? Angry? Good. Anger is useful. It means you're done being sad. He poured 2 cups of coffee, and we sat at the kitchen table, and he said, "My 70th birthday is in 3 weeks. Your parents will be there, your sister, about 40 other people, aunts, uncles, cousins, friends from the courthouse. I'm going to tell them the truth, Evie, all of it, but only if you want me to." What truth? About the money, about the lies, about how they've been using you. My hands started shaking. Coffee sloshed over the rim of the cup. "Grandpa, you can't. They'll say I'm lying. They'll say I'm crazy." "They can say whatever they want. I have documentation, bank records, your spreadsheet. Yes, I know about the spreadsheet. You're not as good at hiding things as you think." He smiled just a little. "And I have something else. Something your parents don't know about." He pulled out his phone and opened a folder of screenshots. Text messages. Dozens of them, between my mother and Lisa. "I've been monitoring your mother's text to Lisa for the past 6 months. Nothing invasive. Lisa's phone is on my family plan, and she gave me permission years ago to check her messages if I thought she was in trouble. I've been checking." He handed me the phone. The first message was from April 3rd, 2 weeks after I'd refused to give them $15,000. "Susan to Lisa. Your sister is being impossible. She actually said no, can you believe it? After everything we've done for her." Lisa to Susan. "She's always been selfish. Don't worry. She'll come around. She always does." Susan to Lisa. "I don't think she will this time. She seems different, colder. I think we need to start telling people she's unstable, just in case." Lisa to Susan. "Good idea. I'll start with Aunt Patricia." I read through 47 messages, each one more calculated than the last. They'd planned it. The narrative, the lies, the campaign to make me look crazy. "When did you get these?" "Last week. I was waiting for the right time to show you. This is the right time." I looked at my grandfather, this retired federal judge with 34 years on the bench, and I saw something in his eyes I'd never seen before. Rage. Quiet, controlled, judicial rage. "What are you going to do?" "I'm going to give them a verdict," he said, "and you're going to watch." The next 3 weeks passed in a blur. I recovered from surgery. I went back to work. I didn't speak to my parents. They didn't call. But I got texts from Lisa. "Mom's really hurt, Ev. You should apologize. Dad's asking if you're coming to Grandpa's party. You should come. It would mean a lot. Why are you being so difficult? It's embarrassing." I didn't respond. On May 7th, the day of Grandpa David's 70th birthday party, I drove to his house at 5 p.m. The party started at 6. He'd rented a tent for the backyard, hired a caterer, invited everyone he'd ever known. "Are you ready?" he asked. "No." "Good, neither are they." The guests arrived. Aunts and uncles I hadn't seen in years, cousins, Grandpa's former colleagues from the courthouse, friends from his book club. My parents came at 6:15 p.m., dressed like they were attending a gala. Lisa wore a white dress that probably cost more than my monthly rent. They saw me standing near the bar and froze. My mother recovered first. She walked over, smile fixed in place. "Evelyn, you came. I wasn't sure you would." "Grandpa invited me." "Of course he did." She lowered her voice. "Listen, can we talk later? Clear the air. I hate this tension between us." "Sure," I said. I didn't mean it. Dinner was served at 7 p.m. Long tables under the tent, white tablecloths, candles and glass hurricanes. I sat at the far end, away from my parents. Grandpa David sat at the head of the table, watching everyone with that calm, judicial expression. At 8 p.m., he stood up. Someone clinked a glass. The conversations faded. "Thank you all for coming," Grandpa David said. 70 years is a long time to be alive, and I'm grateful to have spent so many of them with all of you. Polite applause. "I've been thinking about legacy lately. about what we leave behind. And I've realized that the truth is the only legacy worth having. So tonight, I'm going to tell you a truth that some of you won't want to hear. My mother's smile faltered. Grandpa David pulled out a folder, the same folder he'd given me months ago, now thicker. 8 years ago, my granddaughter Evelyn started medical school. Over those 8 years, she has given her parents, my son Richard and his wife Susan, a total of $362,840. I have the bank statements here. Every mortgage payment, every insurance premium, every credit card bill she paid for her sister Lisa. The tent went silent. Richard, Grandpa David said, looking directly at my father, when Evelyn asked you for help with her car 6 years ago, you told her to take the bus. Then you bought Lisa a $6,200 handbag 3 days later. My father's face went from red to white. Susan, when Evelyn had emergency appendectomy surgery 3 weeks ago, you called her erratic and unstable while she was in recovery. You left the hospital to go back to a brunch. You told family members she was having a breakdown. My mother stood up. This is a private family matter. You have no right. I have every right. I'm her grandfather, and I have text messages between you and Lisa planning how to gaslight her. Would you like me to read them aloud? Lisa's face crumbled. Grandpa David pulled out his phone and read, I think we need to start telling people she's unstable, just in case. That's from you, Susan, on April 3rd. And Lisa's response, good idea. I'll start with Aunt Patricia. Gasps around the table. Aunt Patricia put a hand to her mouth. My father tried to speak. Dad, you don't understand. Evelyn has been difficult. She's been accusing us of what? Taking her money? Because that's not an accusation, Richard. It's a fact. I have 8 years of bank records. Evelyn has never asked you for money. She's only given it, over and over, while you bought luxury cars and designer clothes and told her she was ungrateful. My Uncle Robert, my father's brother, stood up. Is this true, Richard? My father said nothing. Answer me. Did you take $360,000 from your daughter? It wasn't like that. She offered. She wanted to help. She was a student, Grandpa David said. A resident making $58,000 a year. And you took $15,000 for a mortgage payment while she ate ramen for dinner. You're not just selfish, Richard. You're a thief. My father's face twisted. You've always taken her side. Always. Lisa and I have never been good enough for you. This isn't about sides. This is about evidence. And the evidence shows that you exploited your daughter for 8 years. And when she finally said no, you tried to destroy her reputation to cover your tracks. My mother was crying now. Real tears this time, not the practiced ones. We didn't mean, we were struggling. The business was failing. We didn't know what else to do. You could have asked for help like an adult, Grandpa David said. Instead, you manipulated a 22-year-old into funding your lifestyle. And then you called her crazy when she couldn't do it anymore. The silence was absolute. 40 people staring at my parents, at Lisa, at me. I stood up. My legs felt steady. My hands weren't shaking. I don't want revenge, I said. My voice came out calm, measured. I just want the truth on record. Grandpa's right. I gave you everything I had because I thought that's what family meant. I was wrong. Family doesn't exploit you. Family doesn't gaslight you. And family doesn't abandon you in a hospital bed. I looked at my mother. I'm not erratic. I'm not unstable. I'm just done. I walked out of the tent. I didn't wait for an apology. I didn't wait for their response. Grandpa David found me 10 minutes later sitting on his porch steps. That was harder than I thought it would be, I said. It always is. What happens now? Now they face the consequences. Your Uncle Robert is already talking about cutting them off financially. Your Aunt Diane is here. Did you see her? She's been waiting 8 years to watch this happen. And your mother's book club friends? They're leaving. Right now. I looked back at the tent. People were gathering their things, saying quiet goodbyes. My parents sat alone at the table, Lisa between them, all 3 of them staring at nothing. Do you think they'll apologize? No, Grandpa David said. People like that don't apologize. They double down. But it doesn't matter anymore. The truth is out. Everyone knows. And that's enough. He was right. Over the next month, the fallout was swift. My father's consulting business lost 3 major clients. My mother was quietly asked to leave her book club. Lisa's engagement ended. Her fiancé's parents had been at the party, and they'd heard everything. My parents called me once. My mother, crying, begging me to fix this. Tell people Grandpa was lying. Tell them you were confused. Please, Evelyn. Please. I hung up. I didn't hear from them again. 6 months later, I finished my cardiology residency. I accepted a position at a hospital in Denver, 1,200 miles away from my parents. I packed my things, said goodbye to Grandpa David, who hugged me tight and said, "I'm proud of you, little star." And I left. I have a 1-bedroom apartment now with a view of the mountains. I adopted a cat. I named her Justice, because Grandpa David would have found that funny. I work 60-hour weeks, but I love it. I'm not drowning anymore. I'm not sending money to people who call me a burden. I'm free. If you're watching this, and you've ever had to choose between funding someone else's life and building your own, type "I chose myself" in the comments. Or if you're still trying to find the courage to say no, type "I'm learning." Both are valid, both are brave. If this story meant something to you, check the description for more stories just like this one. Thank you for being here. I saw my parents once more, a year after Grandpa's party. I was home for his 71st birthday, a small gathering this time, just close family. My parents weren't invited, but I saw them in the grocery store. My mother looked older, tired. She saw me in the produce section and her face went pale. We stood there, 10 feet apart, holding our respective shopping baskets. She opened her mouth, closed it, opened it again. "Evelyn." "Mom." She stopped. Her eyes were wet. "I'm sorry. For what it's worth, I'm sorry." I wanted to believe her. Part of me still wants to believe her, but I know better now. "Okay," I said, and I walked away. Because some apologies come too late. Some damage can't be undone, and some people only say sorry when they've lost everything else. I don't hate my parents. I don't think about them much at all anymore. I think about Grandpa David instead. About the way he documented everything. The way he waited for the right moment. The way he stood up in front of 40 people and delivered a verdict that couldn't be appealed. He taught me that truth is evidence, that love is action, that silence isn't peace. It's just the price you pay for someone else's comfort. I'm not silent anymore, and I'm not paying.